Alchemy and astrology, both ancient practices, once intrigued humanity with their magical promise of transformation and foresight. Yet the darker arts stole the spotlight in early modern times as tales of pacts with the devil spread across Britain and America. Mostly women, tens of thousands found themselves under the executioner's axe, condemned as witches. The European panic began to wane just as Salem's infamous trials ignited due to local politics. Ironically, claims of witchcraft surged, not due to rampant magic, but from leaders flexing their authority amid the turmoil. For these power holders, witch trials were the bizarre remedy to uphold their trembling reign. In today's video, we are going to focus on the trials that the early leaders flexed on. Let's get started. Witch hunts and trials in Salem. In 1689, English monarchs William and Mary triggered a war with France in the American colonies, displacing refugees in Massachusetts. The influx strained Salem's resources, fueling the rivalry between the wealthier port families and the agricultural class. Salem Village's first ordained minister, Reverend Samuel Parris, added to the tension with his strict, greedy demeanor. As unrest grew, locals attributed the escalating discord to demonic influences and sorcery. In 1692, Parris's young daughter and niece started experiencing disturbing fits, shrieking, hurling objects, and contorting unnaturally. When a similarly afflicted 12-year-old girl named Ann Putnam Jr. emerged, supernatural causes were suspected. Under the scrutiny of local officials, the afflicted girls blamed their torments on 3 women, marking the onset of the infamous Salem witch trials. Beginning on March 1st, 1692, all 3 women, Tituba, a Caribbean woman who the Parris family had enslaved, Sarah Good, a begging homeless woman, and an elderly, poor woman named Sarah Osborne, were brought before the local magistrates and questioned for several days. Good and Osborne both claimed innocence. In any case, Tituba admitted, "Satan came to me and bid me serve him." She gave elaborate descriptions of black dogs, red cats, yellow birds, and a tall man with white hair who wanted her to sign his book. She also mentioned the red cats. She claimed that several other witches were out to destroy the Puritans and that she had signed the book. Over the subsequent few months, a steady stream of accusations emerged, sowing the seeds of paranoia. The community was highly concerned when charges were brought against Martha Corey, a faithful church member in Salem Village. The magistrates even questioned Dorothy, Good's 4-year-old daughter, and her timid responses were interpreted as a confession. When Thomas Danforth, the colony's deputy governor, and his assistants attended the hearings in April, the questions got more serious. For questioning, dozens of people from Salem and other villages in Massachusetts were brought in. Respected Minister Cotton Mather pleaded with the court not to accept spectral evidence, a testimony about dreams and visions, in a letter just a few days after the court was established. The court mostly ignored this request, which sentenced 5 people to be hanged in July, 5 more in August, and 8 in September. Increase Mather, the president of Harvard at the time, decried the use of spectral evidence on October 3rd, following in the footsteps of his son Cotton. It was preferable to release 10 suspected witches than to imprison 1 innocent person. In response to these pleas and his wife's questioning as a suspected witch, Phipps prohibited additional arrests and freed numerous accused witches. On October 29th, he disbanded the Court of Oyer and Termine and established a superior court of judicature, which only sentenced 3 out of 56 defendants and disallowed spectral evidence. Witch hunts and trials in Wales. During the early modern period, Wales had fewer witch trials or hunts than the rest of Britain. There were a lot of accusations, but it was hard to prove that women were witches. Gwen Firk Ellis of Llandanog was the first witch to be tried and killed in Wales. She was accused of casting a destructive charm and using a puppet, a figurine made to resemble a specific person, for spell casting. Gwen herself participated in the art of healing with charms, which were common at the time. However, this particular charm was written backward, which, according to the customs of the time, indicated that it was intended to harm. While Wales' approach to witch trials was constantly filled with nudges, it was the complete opposite in Scotland during the same era. Scotland's measures were punitive, vicious, and designed in an aristocratic manner. Not a single suspected witch was to be spared. Witch hunts and trials in Scotland. Between 1500 and 1700, Scotland saw a much higher number of witchcraft trials than any other British nation, with anywhere from 4,000 to 6,000 people being tried. This was probably because King James VI, well known for his interest in magic and sorcery, was in power then. He was even said to have presided over the trials and torture of several women accused of witchcraft. Following Scotland's union with England in 1707, fewer witchcraft cases were prosecuted because specific magic-related laws were more tightly controlled. King James VI ruled and oversaw one of Scotland's most famous mass witch trials. At least 70 accused witches were found guilty during the trials in North Berwick between 1590 and 1592. The majority of the witches were sentenced to death or violent torture. The king went through terrible storms while traveling by ship to Denmark, where he would marry Princess Anne. The trials happened after that. King James VI blamed the witches in North Berwick for the Copenhagen witch trials, inspired by the Trier witch trials, after seeing authorities in Denmark accuse women like Anna Calding of using witchcraft to cause storms. A more significant chunk of information about the North Berwick trials can be referenced in the king's book Demonology and a pamphlet called News from Scotland, published in London. The trials were well known then, and are said to have impacted Shakespeare's Macbeth. The witches also refer to the storm that accompanied King James VI's crossing to Denmark in their spell, and the play borrows the trials as its setting. As the story on Scotland's trials collapses, there's more to find in England, and England's trials are especially astonishing. Witch hunt and trials in England. Although the number of deaths in England was significantly lower than in Scotland, some self-proclaimed witch hunters were still responsible for numerous notable trials. Matthew Hopkins, a man from East Anglia who went by the moniker Witchfinder General, was one of these witch hunters. Hopkins and his associates were thought to have orchestrated the executions of at least 300 accused people. The Witches of Belvoir trial involved 3 women and was one of the most well-known: Margaret Flowers and Philippa Flowers, Joan Flowers' 2 daughters. The Earl and 2 of his sons perished following their dismissal as servants from the castle of Belvoir, and the Countess and her daughter suffered from violent illnesses. 5 years later, the Flowers were arrested on suspicion of harming the Earl of Rutland's family through sorcery, following the hanging of a group of witches in Leicestershire. Margaret was hanged at Lincoln Castle on March 11, 1619, whereas her sister managed to escape, presumably by drugging the guards. The last documented executions of witches in England occurred during the Bideford witch trial in Devon. Her daughters confessed to having familiars, visions of demons, and performing a spell on the Earl and Countess's children. Grace Thomas, a local woman, was afflicted by supernatural means, and as a result, 3 women were hanged for their role in her death. Temperance Lloyd was the woman hanged, and many other accusations led to their guilt, but none of them had any evidence. Everything about these trials wasn't adding up, despite the efforts they invested into putting the pieces together. But before you draw any conclusion, let's take a trip down memory lane and do an archaeological expedition of what it was like in Ireland. Witch hunt and trials in Ireland. In contrast to the widespread trials and executions throughout the rest of the UK and even the rest of Europe in the early modern period, Ireland's number of prosecutions did not reach double digits. It has been hypothesized that this is because Ireland did not have much religious upheaval at the time. However, the general population of Ireland has also hypothesized that this fact may result from their cementitious belief in the Sheed, more commonly referred to as fairies. However, there were still several notable trials, the first of which was Lady Alice Keitler and Petronilla de Meath, her maidservant. Petronilla de Meath was tortured and forced into confession confessing that she and Lady Alice Keitler were witches, resulting in their burning at the stake. Another well-documented witch trial occurred in March 1711, when 8 women were convicted and sentenced to death for the practice of witchcraft. Beyond this, there weren't any notable records of witch trials in Ireland. As such, she'd held an indelible pillar that would serve as a beacon of hope for the poor, aged, lower-class women who were often susceptible to black magic cases. It's always easy to point fingers at someone who isn't as privileged as you are, and that was what most witch hunters based their feelings or suspicions on. We'd like to know how you feel regarding witch trials. Please let us know your responses in the comment section below, and don't forget to like and share. Also, hit the subscribe button to get notifications on the latest uploads on the channel. As always, see you in the next video.